We've got information on how Canon R3's eye-controlled autofocus works. We've got a series of patents that provide insight into calibration and operation. We also have a series of patents on several RF lenses like the 130 and 135. And we've got March SEPA numbers. Did the camera market improve its gains over February? This and more after the intro. Thanks for tuning into The Ordinary Filmmaker. Just before I get into today's news, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now, the more likes a video gets, the more likely I'm able to publish more videos of this type. And one last thing before I get to today's news. I just launched the Night Challenge this past weekend. Shoot a video at night and you could win a brand new Zhiyun Weebill-S and an Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap, this guy right here. Now, the contest ends May the 14th, and if you'd like to get more details on what you should do and where to submit your video, please watch this video here. And now for the news. Northlight Images discovered the UPSTO patent 2021 0124239. It's kind of hard to let these patent numbers roll off the tongue. Now, this is the patent behind the eye-controlled autofocus, and it gives us some insight into how the function operates. It works in conjunction with UPSTO patent 2021 0125375, and it details how Canon plans to calibrate eye-controlled autofocus, or at least the function. It's no surprise that Canon will use a wizard to help calibrate autofocus. What has me excited is the menu system. Notice the top option, One Shot and Servo. One Shot is designed for stationary subjects, while Servo is designed for moving subjects, or a moving camera, or a combination of the two. And this is what really has me excited. When I first heard about eye-controlled autofocus, I was automatically assuming for some reason that we were taking portraits or wedding-type photography where your subject isn't moving around a whole lot. I never imagined that it would work in servo mode or where the subject is moving around, and that has me excited more than anything else. So I'm really curious by this function. I would really love to see this function come to the R5 in a firmware update. But if they're anything like Apple, that's unlikely to happen. And of course, I suspect very strongly that it would require some changes to the hardware architecture. Anyhow, let's get back to the patent. If we take a look at this image here, we can see that line of sight and input options. But I sense it has something to do with providing guidance to the system on how to operate and deliver optimal performance when shooting. And in line of sight pointer is to provide feedback on what the camera's focused on. I could see this being a bit of a distraction and turned off if, well, a big if here, if the system proves reliable. And from what I recall, the EOS 3 was quite reliable. And that's what's got me puzzled by this. If this system was so good with the EOS 3, why did Canon bury it for so many years? Why did we have to wait over 10 years to see this come back in the R3? Now, with technology having advanced so significantly since then, I can imagine that this works very, very well. This has got to be one of the features that Canon's talked about that I'm most excited about, because what it has the potential to do is to free up a lot of that effort. It's like when autofocus came out, a reliable autofocus system for video came out, we no longer had to constantly worry about pulling focus. And to be able to do that with stills, to be able to look through the viewfinder and nail your focus, that potentially could be very powerful. Now, just the other day, I was pulling product shots for the Artisan, the TT Artisan 21mm f1.5, and I used the autofocus system, and it didn't work very well. This box here, you can't really tell, but once I publish the review video, probably in about a week, what you'll notice is the box has a very textured surface, very similar to what you would get with a cloth or like a bag or I shouldn't say a bag, a sack. And I couldn't get that detail until I switched over to manual focus, zoomed in, and then I pulled focus manually. So I can't see this new eye-controlled autofocus system being a replacement for pulling focus manually to get everything absolutely sharp. But if it can do it 80% of the time, that would be really powerful. For product shots, no, I still think we'll be pulling focus manually, but for a lot of other needs, I think this could be a really, really big big capability. Northlight Images uncovered another patent. This one includes lens embodiments for two lenses I'm keenly interested in. Well, at least one of them, the 130mm f1.4 and the 135mm f2. Now, I can't really see us getting both of these lenses. Remember, a patent doesn't mean we're actually getting something. It just means that, well, the company, Canon in this case, has done an awful lot of work researching it and decided to put out a patent to protect their research and development. Now, I would really love to see the 135mm f1.2, even though it's not as wide as the 130. I just love that 135mm focal length. It's for street photography, for portraits, it's just a very, very powerful lens. It's one of those that does take a little bit of getting used to. But wow, it's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing. But the question for you is, which of these lenses would you rather see? You notice I've completely ignored the 24mm. I'm kind of tired of talking about that one. We've seen so many embodiments for it. I think we're up to 6 right now. But in terms of the 130 and 135mm, the f1.4 and f1.2, or sorry, f2, which of these would you rather see? Let me know in the comment section down below. And now, let's go behind the scenes. Okay, in this episode of Behind the Scenes, I want to give you an update on my plans for a live stream this Saturday, May the 1st. Can you believe it? I first of all find it hard to believe that we're in 2021, let alone we've just completed 4 months and we're in May. But I do have a live stream scheduled right now. It's for Saturday morning at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. I think that's GMT -4. It's either GMT -4 or -5. I can't remember. This is not going to be what I would consider a well-oiled, well-scripted, well-produced live stream. It's still a pilot. I'm trying to figure out the live stream technology. I was working with StreamYard, and I really do love the interface. I love how they've simplified in terms of ease of use. It's just absolutely terrific. The ability to be live streaming and then invite somebody else in live on the fly, I mean, that's really powerful, but it's very expensive. Well, they do offer a free version. The bitrate is so low that it produces results that are just not professional enough that I would be willing to broadcast again. And the $20 a month version, well, it's limited also to 720p. And then, of course, there's the 1080p version, and it's $50 a month. Now, if you pay for a full year up front, they do give you some sizable discounts. But at this point, until I'm used to doing live stream, I got to determine if this is something I want to do. And based on how much money I earned from last week's video, and I actually did 2 of them, and the revenue from both of them was less than $20. So multiply by 4, and I'm barely lucky enough to break even, and that's a bit of a kick in the pants. So after you've done all this work and you've produced a video, and you've done a month of it, you're not breaking even, and it would be nice to earn a little bit. And it's really awesome. Like, I got a few super chats this weekend, and I really do appreciate those. You don't have to do it, but it's very much appreciated. And it's kind of one of those, it's kind of like a monetary pat on the back. It's a way of saying thanks for the work, we appreciate it. But then when all that money is taken away on the other side, you feel kind of like, well, okay, now I just got kicked in the pants. So I'm going to try with OBS. A lot of people call it OBS, but I think OBS sounds a whole lot more friendly, don't you? So I'm going to play around with OBS. I'm going to try broadcasting with OBS. It won't be as clean. I probably won't have a lot of scenes set up. Hopefully the audio is going to be pretty good. I'm not going to be using the M1 MacBook Air, which the audio is very good. And the reason for that, well, I'm going to be using the Canon, either the 70D or the R5 as my camera, hooked up through the Canon EOS web utility. And I tested it, it does work, but it doesn't work with the M1. I spent about 15, 20, 30 minutes, who knows how long, trying to get it to work last night, and it didn't. So I decided, you know what, if it's this difficult to get to work, I'm not going to try it. It's not trustworthy, reliable. If I do get it working and it goes wrong, well, then there's obviously a problem for me later on, and I just don't want to risk being stranded during a live stream. But the plan for this live stream, I've received an awful lot of questions from you already for this week's Q&A session. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize those questions. So it doesn't mean that if you ask a question, it isn't getting noticed. And if somebody does do a super chat, yes, they do jump up in priority, because from my understanding of etiquette with YouTube, if somebody does do a super chat, you're supposed to acknowledge it right away. And so I'm going to continue that etiquette. I'm planning on doing a full hour and no more, but we'll see how things go at the hour mark. But I plan on not going more than 90 minutes at the max, and 91 minutes is completely right out. And the reason for that is it's the weekend. I want to try to keep some time for myself. I don't want to overwork myself. This week has been very, very busy with work. It's been very, very busy with the camera stuff. And of course, I've got some family stuff coming up too. And I also got my shot. So I had 2 days this week where I felt like I was a little bit, well, not quite myself. I was just exhausted and tired, like I pulled an all-nighter. And it took me a few days to recover for that. So the live stream is coming up. Please do set a reminder. Please join me. Having you guys there makes it a whole lot more enjoyable. And this time I will broadcast publicly instead of putting it to unlisted, which is what I did last week. So yeah, lesson learned on that one. But anyhow, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. Don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win 2 Angelbird 128GB AV Pro MK2 V90 SD cards, along with an Angelbird Dual UHS-2 SD card reader. Or you could also win a Ulanzi LED light package with an accent light, underwater light, and various other flat panel lights to help light your subject, or as a starter kit, a great starter kit for someone starting their own channel. And if you do want to help support this channel, please consider using my affiliate links to B&H and Amazon, or consider buying an Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap for $34.99, this guy here, from ordinaryfilmmaker.com. Thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker, and have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you again soon.